Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. My name is Michael McCullough. I'm a clinical research project manager at University of Chicago, Department of Medicine. I graduated last year from the MPH HPA program here, so it's nice to be back. I started the program fall 2019. We had a normal first semester, went through winter break, returned, had a normal start to the semester. The pandemic hit, and I have not been back in the building since. So it's really nice to be back. Looks like there's a fair amount of people on the Zoom call as well, which is wonderful. So want to keep it pretty informal and just conversational. The main point for me being here today is just to let you guys know about University of Chicago, Department of Medicine. There's a lot of opportunities available. I just wanted to kind of share my path. You know, I was in your shoes a year ago, and I know that can be a little stressful when looking for jobs and APE experiences and whatnot. So thought I'd kind of just give you guys a chance to ask me questions. I'll share my story. The head of HR, Chris Yaros, which I'll give you his contact information, asked me to come speak. We have a ton of opportunities at DOM, and he's had good experiences with public health graduates in the past. So that's pretty much it. We'll have a Q&A session at the end. Like I said, informal. If you have questions, just ask me, interrupt. Another thing I like to say just at the top, this is a common theme that I'll reiterate a few times throughout the talk. You'll notice is that there are so many different opportunities at UC, all sorts of different centers and institutes and programs and projects. So if you have a particular interest for a disease area or a certain area of medicine, I promise you there's some sort of project going on at UC where you can kind of pursue that interest. If you're ambitious and you're motivated, there's a nice infrastructure in place where you can really mold a nice career for yourself. And something that I've appreciated too is there's a lot of interdisciplinary collaboration. So, you know, I kind of have my group that I work for, but I've worked with so many different departments and centers and institutes, and you develop some working relationships with these folks, and all of a sudden they'll have a project that is new and they need some help, and they reach out to you, and the next thing you know, you're working on a brand new project. So it's an excellent place to work, and that's just kind of a theme. You'll notice I say a similar iteration of that throughout. So that's kind of what we'll do today. Let's see here. So yeah, like I said, I'll start with just some, basic background about UC, the Department of Medicine, tell you about me, my role, what opportunities there are, and how to apply for those positions. And then we'll do kind of a QA session at the end. So I'm here on behalf of the Department of Medicine. And so I'll pretty much be focusing on the centers and different sections under the umbrella of DOM. But everything that I say really can apply more broadly to UC in general. So don't kind of restrict yourself to just DOM. I'll kind of focus on that, but it applies to any other departments that are within UC. I wanted to kind of start out giving you a top level view, just as broad as possible, and then we'll narrow in little by little, getting to the Department of Medicine. So this is the university org chart. This is everything U Chicago, a lot of things going on, a lot of academic, administrative departments. You'll notice in the top right there, the U Chicago Medicine, that's the hospital. It's technically a separate entity, but very closely intertwined with the rest of the university. So I have the Biological Sciences Department circled there. That's where the Department of Medicine is housed. So this is kind of our first narrowing in point, the BSD it's called. So just a little bit about BSD. This is our leadership. There's most of the clinical and basic science research is housed under BSD. This is our dean. There's a dean of basic science research, clinical affairs, and then medical education. You can kind of see the mission statement there. And then this is a statement from U Chicago Medicine. discusses the different organizations that are kind of all united under the hospital. And like I said, that last statement in the bottom right there, the clinical departments are tightly related with UChicago Medicine. A lot of the faculty members are also treating patients in the hospital as well. So I kind of think of it all as one. So under BSD, there are 15 different clinical departments. I have the Department of Medicine circled there. This is our next kind of narrowing in to DOM, but kind of getting to that same theme, you'll notice all sorts of different clinical departments. If you have an interest in pediatrics or orthopedics, anesthesia, family medicine, anything, all of this will, can apply to those departments as well. Very similar, a lot of opportunities within those as well. So the Department of Medicine specifically is the largest department at UC. There's over 300 full-time faculty members. There are 15 kind of subspecialty sections under the auspices of DOM. You can see them listed here. I work for endocrinology, diabetes, and metabolism. The center I work for is the Kobler Diabetes Center, so it's under the endocrinology section, but I have colleagues who I interact with within many of these different sections. They're all excellent, all have great programs going and have a lot of opportunities within them. And so the Department of Medicine kind of has 4 pillars, 4 areas that really define the department: research, patient clinical care, community, and education. So I just wanted to touch briefly on each of these. Just starting with research. So UChicago has a long history of really impactful research discoveries. It is a prestigious place. You get that feeling when you're there. You're surrounded by really prestigious scientists and physicians. And so it's really cool. Just one that kind of is related to our work. In 1965, Dr. Steiner discovered proinsulin, which is the precursor to insulin, obviously important to diabetes. And that led to the creation of synthetic insulin, which is what is used to treat many patients with diabetes. So the list is long with kind of similar, just really impactful discoveries. There's a lot of money coming in to fund the research. Just in the Department of Medicine itself, last year, there was $125 million in federal dollars, $22 million in non-federal awards. And last year, again, just under the DOM, over 1,700 clinical trials were conducted. So there's a lot going on. Important as well as kind of the more patient clinical care aspect in the hospital and the various clinics. Similar to the research, again, it's very prestigious. You get that feeling that this is a top-notch hospital. You feel kind of proud when you're walking in there. There's a lot of sections under the DOM that are ranked nationally, and they serve a lot of patients, and just by virtue of its geography, kind of located in Hyde Park, serving a lot of vulnerable, underserved communities, which is really important. So last year, there were over 16,000 inpatient admissions and nearly 291,000 patient visits in total. So a lot of important clinical care going on as well. Another kind of really important aspect to University of Chicago is just giving back to the community involvement, highly involved with promoting diversity and involving the community in their research work, and relaying the findings to the community and getting them involved in all things that we're doing. In fiscal year 20, $567 million were provided in uncompensated care, charity services, patient debt, and other community support. So it really is important to the hospital and UC in general. And then, of course, education is important. There's a medical school that's ranked top in the country. A lot of residents and fellows come through the Department of Medicine, and Another aspect that's important to the Department of Medicine is educating patients as well, making sure that they understand, you know, the condition that they have and educating them on how to best treat them. So yeah, those are kind of, like I said, the four main pillars that really define Department of Medicine. So in addition to the 15 different subspecialty sections, there are different centers. Like I said, I work for the Kovler Diabetes Center, but just getting back to that theme that I mentioned at the beginning, there are so many different you know, projects going on within these different centers. So if you have a certain passion for any given disease or more, you know, public health related, population health management type things, there's a center in here that is focusing on that given area. I wanted to give you guys an idea of like what any given center may look like from like an org structure perspective. Of course, it will vary widely depending on the center. Some are quite large, some are very small, but just to give you an idea of like what it may look like within any given center, I'm going to highlight Kovler Diabetes Center. So we are all things diabetes related at UChicago. We have a clinic where patients with diabetes are seen, physicians, diabetes educators, social workers, dietitians, all seeing the patient, addressing the complex needs of diabetes patients. It's a really unique center. And then what you see here, kind of this org chart here, is more of our research arm, which is where I fall under. Most of the work that I'm involved with is research related. We have clinical trials going on that are very impressive, looking at halting the progression of type 1 diabetes, some early stage drug trials. We're discovering new things about genetics, the underlying genetic drivers of diabetes. We have some outcomes research, working with nurses who call patients with diabetes and help them with you know, education and management, and trying to see if that impacts long-term outcomes of diabetes. And those are just a few. There's a lot going on. We have a community engagement team as well that puts on different workshops throughout the communities and does educational seminars and stuff like that. And so I really like the group I work for. I appreciate that it's a little smaller. It's very, very different from some more industry players where you have huge corporations. I think there's benefits to that as well. I have friends that are doing very well and enjoy that structure. I personally kind of enjoy this smaller group. I feel like you really get to know the leadership, the director, the executive director. I work with most people on the team, so I have enjoyed, you know, just the smaller group size. So that's it, kind of the group in general. I also wanted to highlight just one of the main projects that I'm working on currently, just to give you guys an idea. So this is kind of a newer project that's pretty exciting. It's called the Diabetes Data Commons. There's been similar initiatives in other disease areas, but less so in diabetes. The main idea is that there are so many different diabetes research groups throughout the country doing amazing work collecting all of this data, but it's kind of siloed at each institution. They're collecting different data and different data structures. It's impossible to combine all of that data. So what we're doing is we're working with these different international and national diabetes groups, creating standards for what data to collect, how to collect it, what to name it, and creating a process to aggregate all of that data into what's called a data commons, where different investigators can, you know, access the data, apply to use any group of data, and kind of a way to just foster more collaborative diabetes research. So it's still in the very beginning stages, but something that's exciting, and just to give you an idea of what I do. Wanted to just give a shout out to my team. This is a subgroup of the genetics research group. We have a big diverse array of backgrounds. You know, I was in the NPH program. We have PhD students, more lab scientists. We have dietitians. We have clinical research nurses, so RNs. They really lead more of the drug trials, and of course our physicians as well. Just wanted to show them. Also wanted to plug Diabetes Day. It's on May 14th. It's on a Saturday. It's a really cool event. Our team has worked hard to put it together. It's free, it's virtual. So if you're not doing anything on Saturday morning, just tune in. Different experts talk about different things related to diabetes. This year, something that's really cool is there's an emphasis on the psychosocial, behavioral, community impact of diabetes, something that, you know, is relevant to us and the public health field and the social determinants of health, which I'm sure you guys hear a lot about. It's kind of creeping into areas of medicine slowly, but people are recognizing the importance of these like kind of social non-clinical factors. And so we're trying to incorporate that into our diabetes work. And so that will be, it's cool to see that as an emphasis for this event. All right, so, you know, I work for the Kovler Diabetes Center. I just wanted to highlight two other centers that fall under the Department of Medicine that are kind of public health related. Center for Health and the Social Sciences. It's the acronym is CHESS. A really, really cool center. They do a lot of important work. I am pretty close with the program manager for this center. So if anyone's interested, please, you know, anyone can send me their information or whatnot, but I am pretty close with the program manager for this center. Just to give you, you know, example of what these guys do, there's a program called C4P, the Comprehensive Care Community and Culture Program. They are doing research on patients with kind of complex medical and social needs and providing them with what's called a comprehensive care physician who cares for them while they're in the hospital and in an outpatient clinic setting. The idea being when some of these more complex patients get admitted to the hospital, they're seen by a physician who doesn't know them, isn't familiar with all of the things that are involved with their care, and you know that can have some negative impacts. So they're looking at these comprehensive care physicians and looking at how it impacts outcomes. Pretty cool work. There's also a ongoing randomized control trial. They're offering, you know, free dental care to older adults and evaluating how that impacts health outcomes. They sponsor workshops. Policymakers come to speak on all sorts of topics like healthcare reform. They also have a team that works for, helps research teams with grant applications, raising money, and provides like kind of operational support. So just wanted to give you guys another idea of like what sorts of centers there are, what sort of work is going on. This I would say is more, you know, public health related center. So I wanted to highlight that. Another department I work closely with is the Center for Research Informatics. You know, anyone really could find a role within this center. I think especially maybe the epi folks. But this team helps us with a lot of our database management, our data analysis. They help us create custom applications for our research trials. A lot of cool work. I know they're hiring. And so I work closely with these guys too. So feel free to send me information if you want to get connected with their group. Okay. That's pretty much it for just like general UChicago overview, Department of Medicine. I want to just go into some other like general stuff as well about like the benefits, which I didn't think much about when I was like applying to jobs, but it's really important. And UChicago has an excellent benefit package, which is a plus. So I'm not an HR professional, but I'll just briefly let you know like what the benefit package is. So healthcare coverage is excellent. You guys probably have learned a little bit about like different plans through school, maybe HMOs, PPOs. They offer a variety of different coverage options, depending on what your needs are. It's top notch, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Similarly, dental and vision coverage is excellent. I appreciate that. There's again, something that I didn't really think about as a student or applying to jobs, but retirement packages are also important. It varies widely between different organizations and companies. Among academic medical centers, UChicago, I think, ranks among the top. So you're required to contribute 3% of your salary, and the university will match at 4%. You have the option to contribute an additional 2%. And if you do that, the university will contribute additional 4%. So if you basically out of your paycheck, 5% will go towards this retirement savings account. The university will just give you 8% of your salary to also go into that savings account. And so it's really generous. Something I just wanted to make sure you guys knew. There is a pretty generous PTO policy, 3 weeks, which is, I find that it's plenty. You also get 5 personal holidays, which are essentially the same thing as vacation days. So 3 weeks plus 5 days. They, all of the major holidays, they give you paid time off. Juneteenth, they just added, which is pretty cool. And they have something called winter recess, which I appreciate. It's in between Christmas and New Year's, you get that whole time off, which is kind of unusual, actually. So that is really nice. Okay, so something that my team really values and encourages and kind of requires actually is professional development. We're always supposed to have some sort of like professional development goal for the year, or every 6 months or so. And so I took a advanced kind of Excel niche course. Some of my teammates have taken programming courses. An option for employees is the Graham School. It's a graduate professional school. So just wanted to briefly let you know, they do have master's programs. I wasn't interested in these as just graduating, but down the road, like there are some cool master's programs if you had wanted to develop certain interests. There's professional development certificates. Some of my colleagues have done the project management certificate. I might look into this data analytics certificate, digital marketing. So some really cool courses that are offered. I really think that having some sort of professional development kind of goal is important, always developing skills. And so this is a nice resource to have. And similarly, there's a clinical trials management, medical writing and editing. So a lot of different programs. The university will pay 50% of the tuition, which is pretty cool. And depending on your arrangement with your group or your department, they can cover the rest, or you may have to pay, or some mixture of the two. It just depends on the department. But that's something that I think is a real positive aspect. And then there's some nice recreational facilities as well. I should probably utilize these a little bit more, but you do get, access to the gyms, and there's fitness classes and all the equipment, pool, basketball court and everything like that. So also wanted to just talk about commuting too. I thought that would maybe help. So I live very close to the school here, just right on Ashland and Taylor. I drive. I'm in the office 3 days a week. I do drive, and it takes me about 20 minutes or so. There's free parking on the streets always, depending on how early you get there. You'll get a closer spot. If you get there a little later, you'll have to walk a little bit, but there's always a spot available. You can pay for parking. There are garages. And then there's public transit too. I have teammates who take the metro from the suburbs. If you live in the suburbs, There is an express bus. There's 3 stops like in the city. That's what you can see here on the right. It will just shoot you down Lakeshore pretty much without any stops and take you right to Hyde Park. So my manager took that every day for like 5 years. So that's a good option as well. It runs 6:30 to 9 in the morning, and then will reverse, take you north 3:45 to 7. There's an L, I think the green line, of course, goes down there. I don't know many people who take that, but that's an option as well too. So, it's important to know about commuting. You got to get to work. So there are options. Okay. So like I said, there are a ton of different opportunities at UChicago, like hundreds of openings under the DOM and at the various departments and different centers that I talked about. This is a very short list. This is not exhaustive, but just to give you an idea of like the sorts of opportunities that are available. And, depending on your certain division or program, some may be more applicable than other. The way to go about finding these positions, and I think the link was sent out in the kind of email to advertise for this event, but UChicago uses Workday. So if you just Google UChicago job opportunities, you'll ultimately get to the Workday page. I think these slides will be sent out, so you should be able to click this link as well. But it's a pretty user-friendly system. You can select different filters depending on your interests. If you want to do research or more admin type work or hospital administration type work, you can filter down your list or different centers, search keywords. It's very user-friendly. This is pretty much how I apply to my position, and you'll create like a profile and enter some information, and you can reuse that to apply to other positions. It's very easy to apply to one position and apply to like many, many, many different positions. Of course, you'll want to kind of modify your cover letter accordingly. That's one thing I found is very important. It's tempting to just change one word to the position. I don't recommend doing that. We've interviewed different candidates, and the cover letter is very important. Try to show that you have looked into the position and write a little bit to demonstrate that you know what the position is. Demonstrate some personal interest in the position, some reason why you're interested in it. But other than the cover letter, you can pretty much rapid apply to different positions. So that's kind of a nice feature of like Workday. This is my email. I think it was sent out in the email as well, hopefully. And feel free to email me whenever. If you have like your resume or are just interested in learning more or anything, really, email me. I'm happy to help answer any questions, or I can kind of help get your resume to a certain person if I'm in contact with them. Chris Yaros is the director of HR. I know him pretty well. He sent me here today. So you can email him directly. Can't guarantee that he's going to reply. He's kind of busy, but I can always like be the middleman to shuffle the resume to him as well. So that's pretty much it, really. I want to make sure people have a chance to ask any questions, but also wanted to just briefly kind of tell you, I alluded to my experience applying to the position throughout the presentation, but just to kind of go over it, I graduated a year ago. I was in the HPA program. I didn't really have a clear picture of what I wanted to do. Something that's great about public health is there's so much you can do with the MPH degree, but that's also a problem as well, because it's tough to kind of really narrow in on a certain position when you're searching for jobs. What do you search for? So I kind of cast a wide net. I knew that I liked clinical research, and I just did a bunch of, Indeed, Google Jobs, all sorts of stuff, and I applied all over the place. I had a few interviews at Rush, and then honestly, most of my interviews were at University of Chicago. So it kind of just presented itself as an opportunity, and went through the interview process, and that's that. I took the job. I would say that, you know, it doesn't have to be your dream job, you know, right off the bat. It's nice to find something you're interested in, of course, and that you're passionate about. But, you know, just getting your foot in the door at a good institution or organization or company is important. Somewhere where you can develop important skills, some professional development opportunities, just really augment your skill set, and you don't have to stay there forever. I don't know how long I'll be at UC, but I feel like I'm developing really important skills that will be marketable to any organization in the future. So that's kind of what I would say. It's stressful. I was finishing my APE, like capstone project and finals, and then you have to like apply to all these jobs and resume and cover letter. It's stressful. You know, that's normal to feel like that, but that's what I would say. Like, you don't need to find, you probably won't find your dream job, but try to get into some institution that's aligned with your interests. And if you're ambitious, if you're motivated, you really can kind of mold a nice career path. The UICM PhD degree holds a lot of weight. It's recognized around the city. And that's kind of what I would say about that. So happy to take any questions, or if there's any chat. Yeah, go ahead.
And I was thinking that our cluster in Chicago is very big, like culture parish culture. Did you experience that? Do you see it, or?
So by that meaning, like, if you're not pushing out papers, like you're not doing what you need to do, is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, I feel like our like I've gotten others in the culture to like making sure to publish.
Yeah. Yeah, like as an individual or as a group? Both. Yeah. So it's a good question. I can really only speak to you, Chicago, I guess. I don't feel like we always are required or supposed to have like some paper manuscript project going on. So that's definitely valued to, you know, it's important for when you have to write a progress report to whoever's funding you, and they want to see like what you've accomplished. Papers is a big part of that. So that's something that's valued. I don't feel any extreme pressure, or like, if I haven't published a paper in the year that I've been here. It's not, my job is not like real science paper oriented, but I am working on one. But no one's like breathing down my neck to say like, you need to step it up. I can't say that's the same for like every group at UC, but I don't get that sense, to be honest with you. Yeah. Yeah.
So as a data manager, what does your everyday look like?
So I wear a few different hats. I'm in front of the computer most of the day, and I have had a few different projects. So my job is kind of project based. My initial project was to restructure the database that our team is using. It's kind of a legacy database that was put together over the last like 15 years, not with the best data management practices in mind. And so my job was to kind of overhaul it and implement new data report forms and optimize the data that we're capturing. So that required like a lot of collaboration with our informatics team, basically meet a lot of meetings, collaborating with different centers and groups. Right now I'm leading the data commons project. So a lot of that is making sure meetings are being scheduled. When meetings occur, you send out agendas and take meeting minutes. You meet with the different groups who have different tasks going on and making sure they're making progress. I enroll participants to our research studies. Like part of my day will be consenting patients, explaining the study. Yeah, I help with kind of our regulatory team too. You know, everything involving human subjects research has to comply with the IRB and local national regulations. So I do some admin stuff on the regulatory side. And like I said, we have to provide progress reports to our funders. So I help put together those documents. So there's a lot of things I do, which I like. It's not really the same every day, and it's nice to have a variety of different tasks. It's not really the same thing every day. So,
You mentioned you're in the office 3 days, so are you remote the other 2?
yeah, yeah, and that's of course will vary by group. Our executive director is very much promoting kind of in office. She's kind of an in office person, which is fine. I do value getting to know my colleagues a little bit and kind of bumping into them in the hallways. I do like that. We're starting to have some more like in-person meetings, which is nice. So, but I don't think I would ever want to go back to like 5 days in the office. I do appreciate the hybrid schedule, and I think that's pretty universal now. Most people have some hybrid offerings. So.
Departments that you know of, I'm just getting my bachelor's and graduating from the School of Public Health, but combined with like experience and certifications and all that, like, would you recommend trying and applying?
100%. Yeah, our team just hired a undergrad UIC public health student. She just joined our team. It's great to have a master's degree. I think it gives you a lot of skills and knowledge that is valuable, but definitely there's entry level positions all over the place. And you know, the job description will tell you, of course, like you'll see what's available, you'll click, it will give you information about what center it may be in, and it will tell you like you are required to have a master's degree or you're required to have an undergrad degree. So like you'll just have to pick the ones that require the undergrad degree. But there's tons. Yeah.
What did you do for your AP?
Yeah. So I actually had a good experience. It was challenging because we like went virtual, and I had to like delay it because like the pandemic was like real. Just at the beginning, no one was like hiring, so it was a little challenging, but I made a contact by attending, you guys know Joy Getzenberg, she's like the APE experience coordinator still. Yeah, so she helped me get in contact with someone at Rush in their Department of Social Work and Community Health, and through that contact I kind of just you know, had an informational interview with him, told him about the APE. Joy kind of like recommended me, and so I was with them. I helped them with strategic planning. They have a service where they train healthcare organizations on how to integrate social care into their clinical care model, which not a lot of people do. Like social work isn't really, you know, a lot of social workers aren't involved in patient care. And so they train people on how to integrate that, but they needed kind of some more strategic planning help. So I put together like a strategic plan for them, which is a class that Carlo teaches at some point. I think it's second year, but that's what I did. It was a good experience. So you guys are planning for your APE right now then?
Yeah,
To do it over the summer? Yeah. I had friends do a wide variety of different roles. It's challenging because you kind of have to take the initiative to, it's almost like interviewing for a job. You know, you have to kind of search. I think the school does offer some resources. You know, I think Laura sends out a lot of stuff, but you have to take that initiative to apply. I just make connections as much as you can. But that was my experience. I kind of feel like I got lucky because I happened to make a connection and it happened to work out that they offered me like a role, and it was a great experience, but that's kind of what I did.
Have some questions on the chat. By the way, Joy is watching you through Zoom and she says
Hi, Joy.
she's here. Okay, question. Would they offer visa sponsorship for an applicant with an immigrant visa status or an OPT?
Okay, I'm not gonna claim to be an expert on kind of that aspect of things. But one of our PhD like lab scientists is from India, has a visa, and works for us. And so I'm sorry, I don't know the details about like sponsorships or anything like that, but that's pretty much all I can say about that. I'm sure there's information that you can find on U Chicago website and stuff like that.
Another question. Does the Diabetes Center offer internships for programs and MPH students?
I would say there definitely is a possibility. I don't think there's like anything listed right now or anything established, but if you're interested, please email me and I will get that information to our executive director, because there are, we need help in a lot of different ways. And so we probably would be able to create some sort of position depending on our current needs and the skills that anyone may have. So I can't say like 100% yes, we have this open position, but please send me the information and I can see what our needs are and what, we can see what happens. No. Did I do what?
Any certificate program like that?
I actually didn't, no. I had friends that did like the GIS. I didn't know personally.
Can you speak on your interview process experience? Well, were there many sessions or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So they were all via Zoom, which was actually, I liked that. I don't know if that's still the same thing. I would think so at least, but pretty much all of them followed a similar cadence. There was a really like informal initial session with like the manager or the recruiter, where it was like a first screening pass type thing, 15 minutes or so. And then there was usually at least one other session with like more leadership decision makers of the group. Pretty structured, I got sent an agenda where it would be like 9 to 9:30, you meet with this person, 9:30 to 10, you meet with this person. Usually there was at least that first round and then like one more final round as well. So I would say generally it was like that initial first pass and then two more kind of more intense interviews with more of the high level decision makers. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Can you speak on like the types of questions that maybe you anticipated or you felt challenged by?
Yeah, let's see, I got to think back. And so we interview people too. And so it's been interesting to be on like the opposite side of that situation. But a lot of kind of generic type interview questions, of course, like if you just Google like interview questions to prep for, that seems kind of silly, but it's important. You'll get asked just general questions like, if you are unable to answer a certain question or unable to complete a project, like what's your approach? Do you investigate on your own first, or do you go right to your manager? How do you handle stressful situations with multiple projects going on at the same time? I mean, just like little things like strengths and weaknesses. One question that I got was, what are you most proud of in your life and why? Which was like hard to answer for me. I didn't expect it, but you kind of expect some like at least one like oddball question like that, I'd say. And then definitely do your homework and research into whatever like organization, department, they're gonna ask you why you want this position, and you need to demonstrate that you have an interest in the role, you like know what the role will be like. And I think that's really important and shines through when you're interviewing. Yeah, that's what I would say.
I'm curious, you know, you went through the HPA division.
Yeah.
But you're really doing a lot of like data management.
Yeah.
And number crunching. So not to reduce what you're doing, but it sounds like you're on the number side of it more. But yeah,
Yeah.
conceptually, can you talk about like
Yeah, totally.
how that?
So that's a good point. I don't have like any formal like training in like database implementation or like data management. So I've done a lot of like self-teaching. I've read a few books and have, you know, that you can find all sorts of courses online. So I like have had to, because I've been thrown into this like kind of data world, I've had to educate myself a little bit on at least the basics. I'm not like in the nitty gritty like programming or like data analysis. I'm more on like the coordination side, but you have to at least know what you're talking about a little bit to interact with these different groups. So it's a good point. I still find that a lot of like the HPA coursework is very valuable in what I do right now. I apply a lot of like the principles and concepts that I've learned. But I've actually enjoyed, I think it's been valuable for me to enter this kind of data world. And it's a valuable skill I've learned. I think there's a lot of opportunities in this like domain. So I agree. I guess that's what I would say about it. Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Everyone online.
Okay. See you guys. Thank you very much.